Namaskara and welcome to our next session on Yoganishta Jivanam. So, the topic I want to discuss today is when you convert your Svecha into Prabhu Icha, right? Then what happens? You get victory. So, what does this mean? Right? Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim. Mukaha. Mukaha is a person who is dumb. He cannot speak, right? With Paramatma's kripa, such a person can start speaking, right? He can start speaking a lot. Panguhu pangum langayate girim. Paramatma pangum langayate. So Paramatma can make a panguhu. A panguhu is one who cannot walk, right? He's crippled. Such a person, Paramatma can make such a person cross the mountains. He can make the person climb the mountains. Right? A person who cannot speak, a mukaha, he can make such a person speak a lot. A person who is crippled, he can make him cross the mountain, climb the mountain, right? So even whether it is a small work or a big work, right, in this world, anything, right, like making a person who is dumb to speak is not an ordinary thing. It's a big thing, right? Making a person cross the mountain is also, a person who is crippled to cross the mountain is also a big thing. Or there can be a small thing that somebody does, but the point is over here is that everything is happening in this universe because of his Shakti, right? Because Paramatma is giving the Shakti, that is how this world is moving, right? Human beings, we have nothing. So when a person, even an ordinary person, when he crosses the mountain or when he climbs the mountain, like a lot of people are engaged in climbing mountains, right? So are they climbing the mountains because of their Shakti? No. It is like, the people, somebody who goes and reaches Mount Everest or some other, a big mountain, elevated mountain. So how does that happen? It is happening because of his Shakti, not because of our Shakti. So whatever little Shakti that we have in our legs is also his Shakti, the Shakti with which we are moving, right? That is also with him. Like for instance, if a person is walking with a stick, so he is walking with a stick and he is moving ahead, then that Shakti that he has is also Paramatma's Shakti, right? So essentially human beings, whatever little Shakti they have is all his Shakti. And this is what we need to remember, right? That nothing is mine. Whatever little I'm doing, we may say, oh, I did this, I did that, when I was 20 I did this, when I was 30 I did this, I was an excellent worker, I got awards, or we may say different things, right? I studied very well, I was a topper, right? Or I climbed a mountain, I crossed I achieved a peak, or I achieved success in career. Whatever it is that we say that I did, everything is happening because of his Shakti. Nothing is ours. And this is what we need to remember, that nothing is mine. Nothing is mine. And this is a very important thing that we have to remember. Right? People may think, oh, I'm a wrestler, I'm a champion, right? I'm a very strong person, right? I'm a won so many medals, right? But if you think about it, if a person who says I'm a wrestler, I'm a strong person, I'm a champion, if that person doesn't eat for 3-4 days, right, you can see his plight. You'll not be able to do anything. Even the words don't come from his mouth if he doesn't eat, right? So from that we can understand that the Shakti, nothing is his. That food that Paramatma gives us, and only when we eat that, we are getting little bit of Shakti, and that Shakti is not our Shakti, it is his Shakti. Because if we don't eat for 3-4 days, you can see the condition of the body. We don't even have the strength to fight. So uh, so essentially that everything is happening in this work, any work that is getting done, right? Whether we are talking, whether we are moving, whether we are fighting a war, or whether we are climbing a mountain, or whether we are achieving success, whatever it is, uh, that Paramatma in the form of the food, when he enters the sariram, when he enters the body, then only we get that shakti. That shakti is not ours, it is a shakti that is there in the annam, it is there in the food, that food is in the form of Paramatma, right? So for Manushya there is nothing is his, nothing is his. The air that we breathe is Paramatma's, the water that we drink is Paramatma, the light that we have is Paramatma, the food that we have is Paramatma. With all of these things we are getting the Shakti, and that Shakti is not ours, right? It's a person who is a fool, who is a buddhu, who is a ajna, who doesn't know, who is not thinking. He thinks, a person who is ahankari, he thinks my shakti, I did it, I did this, I did that, right? That is a person who is a murk, that is a person who is a fool, who is a buddhu. He thinks like that. It's I did this, I did this, I did, I did this, I did this. If I didn't do this, nothing would have happened. I did this, that's why it happened. I told you, that is why it happened. If I had not told you, it did not happen. Let me say all these things. But a person who is a person who is a buddhiman, right? A person who is intelligent, right? Who is a wise person, he understands very 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 well deep in his heart that whatever I'm doing with his shakti, right? And that kind of bhavana we need to get in our mind, that whatever I am doing with his shakti. Paramatma's kripa, by his kripa, by his grace, whatever little shakti I get, right? And with that shakti I do the work. When you get that feeling, then what happens is that, right? So when you get the feeling that this shakti that I have is not mine but it is his, right? Then what happens is you get the ananta shakti. So that is essentially what it is. It is yoga. Yoga is what? You're trying to merge the finite with the infinite. You're trying to merge your individual small I with the big I. So in order for doing all of that, you need to have this bhavana that nothing is mine, everything is Paramatma, and the shakti that I have is also is his shakti. So when you start developing this bhavana, then what happens is that you get the ananta shakti, you get Paramatma shakti, right? So whatever shakti that Paramatma has, you get the entire shakti, right? So that is why you can see that people who are sadhakas, they are able to achieve great tasks, they're able to do great things, right? And in a day we have 24 hours, and they will be working for even 21 hours and they will not be tired, right? And they will be only sleeping for 2 or 3 hours and they will not be tired. They will still have the energy to do more and more and more and more. How is that possible? Because they have this bhavana that whatever I am doing is not my shakti, is Paramatma shakti. By that bhavana, I am doing this because of Paramatma's kripa. Whatever little shakti I've got is because of his grace. I am just a yantra, right, for Paramatma. Then when by that bhavana, what happens is that by thinking that I am doing everything as the hands and legs of Paramatma, then whatever ananta shakti that Paramatma has, you get it, right? So our shakti is limited shakti, right? We don't have ananta shakti. We can do limited things. There are certain things we can do and there are certain things we cannot do, right? There are boundaries, right? These are the things I can do, these are the things I cannot do. Like for instance, our stomach has a limited capacity, so that much only I can eat. I can't eat beyond a point, right? Even if I try to stuff the food into my mouth, I cannot eat. I have limited capacity. So like that, in each and every field we have limited capacity. Our buddhi is also limited. Our thought process is limited, our thinking is limited, our physical capacity is limited, everything is limited, right? And with that limited capacity we operate in this world and we think that I did this, I did this, I did this. But a person who thinks that whatever I'm doing is with his grace, with his shakti, nothing is mine, right? Then he gets this perennial source of energy from Paramatma, right? The Paramatma's Ananta Shakti, the sagar of Ananta Shakti, that Shakti comes into the sadhaka because of his bhavana. Then what happens is he is able to do everything. He's able to do everything. He gets that Ananta Shakti, and then there is nothing that he is not able to do, right? He gets that extraordinary strength, and that is how you see in the sadhakas they are able to do great things because of that Ananta Shakti, that perennial source of energy. And such a person is actually a buddhiman, right? And a buddhu is a person who thinks, who is a hankari, and he thinks I'm doing. But a buddhiman person thinks that whatever I'm doing is I'm doing with his shakti. When you do like that, then success is guaranteed. Success is guaranteed, right? So every human being in this world, right, uh, when we have come into this world, we do a lot of things, right? So we do a lot of things. And why are we doing these different things? Why are we doing these different actions? Right? We have this ashana, right? That is why the vritti happens. The vritti is happening because ashana vritti is the desire to do certain thing. We try to do a certain thing because we have the ashana, right? When you have the ichcha, right, when you have the ichcha, according to that ichcha you try to put in the effort, right? And that is what we call as ashana is the ichcha that you have, according to which you put the effort. That is called ashana. So you may have ashana for different things, right? So you want, for instance, you want to go from India to Africa. Then you have the desire that you want to go from India to Africa. So then in order to fulfill that desire, you start making efforts, right? You start taking a flight or whatever that you need to do. You do the special efforts, right? And according to that effort, we attain that ichcha, and that ichcha is what we call as ashana. And the ashana, for instance, if you have the ashana for doing good to others, then we call it as hitaishana. If you want to do good to others, hita, and ashana, hitaishana, right? So in this world, when we have come into this world, we do different things in this world because of the ashana, right? So like this, human beings have different ashanas. We may have ashana to eat some food, we may have ashana to go from here or there, we may have ashana for having wealth, we may have ashana for this or that, right? And in all those ashanas, there is one ashana for Paramatma, right? The Virat Purusha. To attain that Virat Purusha, we may have that ashana, right? That Paramatma had that ashana. Paramatma had that ashana, ekoham bahusyam. I'm one, I want to become many, and that is how this Jagat got created, right? And that is how the each unit got created. That is how the human beings got created, and that ashana is there in human beings also, right? That is why human beings say, I want to do this, I want to do that, right? So Paramatma has ashana, and the human beings also have ashana, the unit beings also have ashana, right? That Paramatma's ashana and unit beings ashana work together, and when they work together, right, then the human beings attain the siddhi in that particular activity, right? So when a human being thinks that whatever I'm doing is because of my shakti, if the human beings think that I'm doing because of my shakti, I'm doing this, I want to do this, right? I want to do this, and they think that I'm doing this with my shakti. Paramatma has an ashana. Paramatma has an ashana with regard to everything in this universe, because he is the one who created this jagat. So he has an ashana for everything. And if your ashana, you're wanting something, and your ashana and Paramatma's ashana merge, then you get success in that particular activity. That karma siddhi, the success in that activity happens. That means the ashana is getting fulfilled, right? Whatever he wanted, and that is what you also wanted, and that you get success. But if there is something that you have an Eshana and you're wanting something, and Paramatma's Eshana is different, if Paramatma's Eshana is different, then you don't get success. That is how things happen, right? What he wanted and you wanted different. Your Vaishtik Eshana is different from Paramatma's Eshana, then you don't get Siddhi. But when his Eshana and your Eshana work together, then you get the Siddhi in that activity, and you get this feeling in your mind that my Ichha has been fulfilled, my desire has been fulfilled. The desire, your desire will be fulfilled when only your desire and his desire merge. When his desire is different and your desire is different, then you don't get success in that activity. So when you do things according to his desire, then you get ananda, right? Then you feel that my desire has been fulfilled. But when you have desires which are different from his desires, then you don't get success, right? So a intelligent, wise person, right? Wise person, what does he think? A wise person, what does he think? So in every activity he thinks, what is Paramatma's desire in this particular activity? In this particular activity, what is that Paramatma's wish, right? And that wish is my wish, right? In every activity before doing, we need to evaluate, like, what is Paramatma's wish in this particular activity, and that will be my desire as well. And when you have a desire like that, then that desire will always get fulfilled. There is no reason for not getting siddhi in that activity, right? Why? Because that is the desire of Paramatma, right? If that is the desire of Paramatma and that is my desire, then I will always get success. I will never have failure in my life. And with that, you also get ananda. And that is what a buddhiman, a wise person, he does, right? And it's very important to understand this. It's very, very important to understand this. Whatever your Vaishtik Eshana, whatever your individual desires, right? That is nothing but Paramatma's desires, right? So essentially a sadhaka will not have Vaishtik Ichha. He will not have individual desires, right? He will see that what is Paramatma's Eshana, and that is my Eshana. So how do I understand what is Paramatma's Eshana in a particular situation? What is Paramatma's Eshana in a particular situation is that Paramatma desires that there will be welfare of the world, welfare of the humanity, right? That is the only desire of Paramatma. Paramatma's desire is that he has created this Srishti and there should be welfare of this world, right? There should be kalyan of this world, and that is the Eshana of Paramatma. And if that is your Eshana, then success is guaranteed. If you have your individual desires, your own individual desires, which is not the welfare of the world, then such desires will not get fulfilled, right? So this Paramatma's Eshana, right? Paramatma's Eshana of having welfare of the world, right? And that is why in Shastras we call Paramatma as Kalyana Sundaram. We call Paramatma as Kalyana Sundaram because he is having the desire of welfare for the whole humanity, right? We call Paramatma as Sundar. Why we call Paramatma as Sundar? Why we call Paramatma as Kalyana Murti, right? Because he is having the desire of Kalyana for everybody, and that is the reason Paramatma is Sundar. Sundar means is beautiful. Why he is beautiful? Why he is Kalyana Sundaram? Because he does welfare for the world, and that is why he is Kalyanakari. That is why he is Sundar. That is why he is beautiful, right? So whoever does good to you, right? In this world there are certain people who does good to you. You feel in your heart that this person is thinking about my welfare, right? And then from that perspective, from your viewpoint, that person is beautiful, that person is very good, right? You say this person, he's thinking about your welfare, he's doing good to you. Then immediately you say, oh, this person is really beautiful inside and outside, right? Right? And you start liking that person because he's your well-wisher, because in your view he is beautiful, right? Similarly, Paramatma, he thinks the welfare of every jiva in this world. There is not one jiva for which he thinks ahita. He thinks hita for every jiva in this world, and that is why Paramatma is Kalyana Sundaram. He is Kalyana Sundaram because he is hitakari, because he is hitakari for everybody. That is why we call him as Sundaram, right? So we need to remember that Paramatma, because he is Kalyanakari, that is why he is Sundaram, right? So your desire, your ichcha, how should your desire be? Is your desire should be Kalyanakari for others. If your desire is Kalyanakari for others, then your eshana, your desire becomes Kalyana Sundara's eshana. Your desire becomes Paramatma's eshana, right? So his desire is always fulfilled. Paramatma's desire is always fulfilled. If he desires that, a blade of grass moves, then it will move. If he desires that there should be water in the desert, then there will be water in the desert, right? His desire always gets fulfilled, and when your desire merges with his desire, then victory is guaranteed, no doubt. Victory is guaranteed. So if you wanted to go to uh, from Calcutta you wanted to go to Punjab, right? So there could be a lot of obstacles when you're going, right? When you're going, there could be a lot of obstacles that you may not be able to go, you may not have strength in your legs to go, right? So there could be a lot of obstacles if you think about certain thing, and it may not get accomplished. But a person who is wise, what he does is, if he wants to go from Calcutta to Punjab, then he takes the train, the Punjab mail, and he goes and sits inside that, and that Punjab mail will definitely go to Punjab, and he goes there and he reaches that Punjab, right? So so then when you go there, then your relatives may say, oh, here this person has come from Calcutta, he's come to Punjab, right? So how did you come? Did you come to Punjab? Did you come on your own strength? No, you went and sat in the train, and the train did you actually walk? No, the train went, the train moved, and you finally reached the destination, right? So your waves and the waves of the train matched, right? Even though you didn't move even one bit, you sat in the train and the train moved, and your movement now matched with the train's movement. Your tarang, your waves, right, got merged with the waves of the train. This is actually upama, this is actually an analogy. Just like how you sat in the train, and with the train's shakti you got the shakti to move from place A to B, like that, when Paramatma, the Kalyana Sundara's eshana, the taranga of Paramatma's eshana, the waves, right, and the waves of that Paramatma's icha, when it merges with the waves of your desire, when they two merge together, just like how the example of the train, then success is guaranteed. Just like with the shakti of the train you reach from place A to B, like that with the shakti of Paramatma you can do things, you can move from place A to B, you can achieve things, and you can get victory, because your eshana merged with the eshana of Paramatma. But if you have your own individual desires, then those individual desires, if they match with Paramatma's desires, then you get success. If they don't match with Paramatma's desires, then you don't get success, right? In a particular situation, you're thinking that I want to build a house. One example, a crude example, right? Somebody thinks that I want to build a house for as an orphanage for somebody, right? And this is Kalyanakari for everybody, Kalyanakari for a lot of people, and Paramatma's desire is also Kalyanakari, is hita for everybody. And in that particular situation, Paramatma's desire is that the hita be done to these orphan children, and your desire is also the same, and in that situation you will definitely get success no matter what. On the other hand, if your desire is your individual desire, right? If you're saying, oh, I want to build a house, right, in that particular situation, in Paramatma's view, right, if that thing that you're doing, building that house, is hitakari for the world, right, in ways that you cannot imagine, then you will get success. Then you will get success. If it is not, then you will not get success, right? That is how, right, that is how, when your Ashana merges with the Ashana of Paramatma, you get success. When it does not, then you will not get success, right? That is why we need to merge our bhavana with the bhavana of Paramatma, and such a person is actually called as a buddhiman. uh, uh, so we all need to become that buddhiman. We have to merge our bhavana with Paramatma's bhavana, and you will automatically get the vijay. You will automatically become victorious. So we have to merge our Ashana with Paramatma's Ashana. Then just like how Paramatma is Kalyana Sundaram, then we can also become Kalyana Sundaram, because our desire is nothing but hita of the jagat, hita of the jagat. And when you have such a desire, then success is actually guaranteed, right? And it is important that all of us become that buddhiman sadhak. We need to become that sadhak who is buddhiman, not be a buddhu thinking that I'm doing everything with my shakti, right? Because we don't have any shakti. Everything that we have, the limited shakti we have, is also Paramatma shakti, right? Because we know if we don't eat for 3-4 days, we don't have any shakti, and that shakti that we get from the food, that food is given by Paramatma. Anna is Brahma, annam Brahma, right? So that kind of bhavana we need to have in our mind, then only we can have success. Otherwise success is not possible. So having said that, I want to actually start the new pravachan today. It is intuitional practice and its necessity. So I am actually going to share my screen. Just a second. Okay, can you see?
Bhagini.
Okay, I want to start.
Intuitional practice and its necessity. An all-round effect for emancipation from the bondage of Prakriti is sadhana or intuitional practice. The story of creation shows that in the face of movement from crude to subtle, the unit consciousness reflects itself clearly by taking shelter in a body made of the 5 rudimental factors derived from the qualified supreme entity. On its reflecting completely, the unit consciousness also get a mind due to quali- due to the qualifying influence of Prakriti. The 3 principles of Prakriti, sentient, putative, and static, gave its mind the 3 functional forms of Mahatattva, Ahamtattva, and Chitta respectively. Chitta is further projected through the 10 physical organs or indriyas. This means that the unit consciousness, because of gradual increase in the qualifying influence of Prakriti, got metamorphosed as Mahatattva. Then, with the increase of influence, it became cruder or Aham Tattva, till finally it became even more crude as Chitta. And its Chitta, with the help of 10 physical organs or Indriyas, started projecting in the form of crude physical action. So now, this what is intuitional practice is given here. So, and now an all-round effect of emancipation from the bondage of the Prakriti is sadhana or the intuitional practice. So now we see that this creation shows that the phase of movement from crude to subtle, the unit consciousness reflects itself by taking the shape of some body, and it takes the shape in the body made of the 5 rudimental factors: the Prithvi, Akasha, Vayu, Jalam, Agni, Jalam, and Prithvi. I mean Prithvi. I think I'm right. uh, 5 rudimental factors, am I right?
आमाम् आकाशात् वायुः वायोः अग्निः अग्नेः
Agni,
जलं
Jala,
जलात्
and
पृथ्वी
Prithvi. So now this, on its reflecting completely, the unit conscious also gets a mind due to the qualifying influence of the Prakriti. The three principles of Prakriti, that is uh, sentient, that I didn't understand, mutative and static. Static, of course, is
sentient means sattva guna, sentient is
uh,
sattva guna, mutative is rajo guna, static is tamo guna.
Tamo guna. Okay. Uh, that is gave its mind the three functional forms, that is it gives Mahatattva, Hamtattva and Chitta respectively due to these factors. So now this Chitta is actually projected towards through the 10 physical organs or indriyas. That means the unique consciousness, because of the gradual of the increase of the qualifying principles of the Prakriti, influence, qualifying influence of Prakriti, it is getting metamorphized as Mahatattva, and the increase of the influence, it became cruder, it becomes cruder and as Aham Tattva. And this is projected, it becomes Chitta, and our thoughts or whatever it is, with the help of the physical organs or indriyas, our actions get projected to the
Yeah. Nicely said, Bhagini. So this paragraph is presented in a certain way. So just to clarify the scenario over here, right? How the mind is under the bondage and the way it comes under bondage, right? So the journey actually starts from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock. So that is the place where the bondage is being created, and from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock is the phase of progressive liberation from Prakriti, right? So that Purusha is actually coming under bondage because of Prakriti. First, there is a formation of the cosmic mind from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock, right? The cosmic mind is formed, and then there is we get the progressive bondage of the Nirguna Purusha, first by the Sattva Guna creating the Mahat Tattva of the cosmic mind, and then the Rajoguna creating the Aham Tattva of the cosmic mind, and the Tamoguna creating the Chitta of the cosmic mind. So from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock is the phase where the cosmic mind is getting created, right? There is only one place where the mind of any type is getting created in the Srishti Chakra. So that is from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock, right? So whether it is the unit mind or the cosmic mind, the only place where the mind is getting created is from 12 to 3, right? And the only substance from which this mind is getting created is the Nirguna Purusha. Nirguna Purusha, on the Nirguna Purusha, when Prakriti acts, then this cosmic mind is getting created. The Samagri is nothing but Purusha. So then from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, we get Panchabhutas, just like how you were saying, the Panchabhutas, right? That is due to the influence of the Tamoguna on the Chitta. I'm just going to mute you a little bit, Bhagini. Oh, Lata Bhagini, okay. So the Panchabhutas, they get created from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock due to the influence of the Tamoguna of Prakriti, and then under congenial conditions at 6 o'clock in the Srishti Chakra, right, when the conditions are congenial, then the jiva emerges at 6 o'clock in the Srishti Chakra. The jiva emerges. That is uh, right. Yeah. So when the jiva emerges, then the unit mind also emerges. So that doesn't mean the unit mind is getting created at that level. The unit mind is nothing but a part of the cosmic mind. It is part of the Bhumaman, right? The unit mind also has the three levels. It has the Aham Tattva, it has the Mahatattva, Aham Tattva, and Chitta. Right? The three levels of the mind are also there, right? So, and this is the process of the Srishti. So what is happening from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock in the Srishti Chakra is that slowly the jivas evolve, and when more and more developed beings get created, then the mind is also more developed. They have a more sophisticated feeling of I. Mahatattva is fully developed, right? And finally in human beings we can see that the Mahatattva is fully developed, right? Initially in initial beings, Mahatattva was not active, only Chitta was present. Then slowly beings started getting Aham Tattva, and then in the initial phases of the Mahatattva. And at 10 o'clock when human beings emerge in the Srishti Chakra, then they have a fully developed Mahatattva, right? So from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, up until the human beings are created, the Mahatattva and the Aham Tattva is all present, but they are in a Sushupta Avastha. They are not active, right? They are in the Sushupta Avastha, and at 10 o'clock all the three components of the mind become active, right? So on the return journey from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock, right, the unit mind is not created. It was already there. It's part of the cosmic mind, only it emerges. The unit mind emerges, right? And slowly in the Pratisanchar Dhara, that is the return from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock, the Prakriti is Nitya Nivritta. Prakriti slowly wanes. Prakriti's influence on the Purusha becomes less and less and less, right? And that is the process which is going on. This is the Purusha is the Drik, and the Srishti is the Drishyam, right? The scene is getting created, in which we are going to talk about the intuitional practice, right? The sadhana, meditation, right? How do we get liberated from the bondages of Maya or Prakriti, is actually called as meditation or sadhana or intuitional practice. So the story is being slowly weaved over here to show that how the Purusha is getting under the bondage of Prakriti, and how from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock we can get liberated from the bondage of Prakriti. And how do we, at 10 o'clock when human beings emerge in the Srishti, how can they get liberated from the bondage of Prakriti? What kind of chesta they need to do? All that will be explained in this pravachan. That is sadhana and its necessity, intuitional practice and its necessity. Okay, so we can actually go to the next paragraph. Bhagini.
The influence, shall I read, or you are asking the other person?
No, she just joined, so you can actually read. She's very new.
Okay.
Yeah.
The influence of
Bhagini, or Bhagini, what we can do is we can ask another Lata Bhagini to read, and you can explain. Lata Bhagini, Bhagini, are you there, Lata Bhagini? Can you unmute yourself, Lata Bhagini? Okay, okay, Bhagini. Pushpalata Bhagini, why don't you read?
The influence of Prakriti gained a hold on unit consciousness gradually, and hence, in order to get out of her hold, the unit consciousness will have to retract gradually. It will have to first retract from Chitta to Aham Tattva, then from Aham Tattva to Mahatattva, and finally the metamorphosed projection as Mahatattva will have to be withdrawn into unit consciousness for emancipation from the hold of Prakriti. Thus, intuitional practice is intended gradually to withdraw the qualifying influence of Prakriti so that she is no longer able to impose her qualities on the consciousness. So, actually the influence of Prakriti gains a hold of the unit consciousness only gradually, and hence to get out of that of her hold, the unit consciousness will also have to retract only gradually. So it will have to first retract from the Chitta, then the Aham Tattva, and finally to Maham. I mean, it should retract from Chitta to Aham Tattva and then to Mahatattva, and finally the metamorphosed, the projection as Mahatattva will have to withdraw from the hold of the Prakriti. And so the intuitional practice is also to be done gradually. It is intended gradually to withdraw from the qualifying influence of the Prakriti, and so that she can no longer be able to impose her qualities on the consciousness. This paragraph explains that. So the withdrawal should be done from the influence of Prakriti only gradually, as she gradually holds on the unit consciousness. Okay, Bhagini?
Yeah, nicely said, Bhagini. So what we are seeing over here is an important paragraph. So we saw in the previous paragraph we saw that how how the Srishti is getting created and how the Purusha is getting bound by Prakriti, right? That is what we saw in the previous paragraph. And here we are saying this meditation is required to withdraw the influence of Prakriti so that she is no longer capable or able to impose her qualities on consciousness or Purusha. So the point over here is that when we go from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock, right, we have said that Prakriti is Nitya Nivritta. She's slowly waning, right? She's getting Kshina, right? So her power is slowly getting reduced. Her withdrawal is going on. She is waning from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock. And how is that happening? It is in the design of the Srishti Chakra that through clash and cohesion, we are getting gradual development of the organisms, of living beings, from one-celled organism all the way up to human beings, and gradually through plants and animals. So we are seeing this gradual development of living beings, right? So in this Pratisanchar Dhara, there is actually the Sanchar Dhara, there is the dominance of firstly Sattva Guna, then Rajo Guna, and then Tamo Guna. Sattva Guna. So this is Lata Bhagini for you. This is the Srishti Chakra we are talking, right? How this Jagat came into being. Initially, we are visualizing this as a clock. Initially, at 12 o'clock, there is this Paramapurusha, that Purusha, right? The Purushottama is at 12 o'clock. And then we have Prakritihi, which is actually part of Purusha. This Brahma, when we say Brahma, he is the composite of Prakriti and Purusha, right? Purusha is consciousness. Prakriti is Trigunatmika. She has three gunas: Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna and Tamo Guna. right? So how the srishti begins is that when Purusha decides that he wants to create the srishti, then Prakriti influences Purusha, right? We say Shiva Shakti Atmakam Brahma. Shiva and Shakti together comprises this Brahma, right? Shaktihi sa Shivasya Shaktihi. Shakti is Shiva's Shakti, right? Shakti, we can think of Shakti as Prakritihi and Shiva as Purusha. So when Purusha decides he wants to create this Jagat, when he wants to create this Srishti, then what happens? The Prakriti has three gunas, and the gunas slowly influence the Purusha. And what happens is that first the Sattva guna influences the Purusha at 1 o'clock, and the mind of uh, the Saguna Brahma, the mind of Saguna Brahma. So Brahma is one. Brahma is composite of Shiva and Shakti. It is one, but Brahma has two roles. He has two roles. One is he can be a Nirguna Purusha, and other is he can be a Saguna Purusha. Saguna Purusha is when Prakriti influences the Purusha and the Srishti is created. Nirguna Purusha is where Purusha just remains without gunas and Prakriti is not able to influence Purusha. So where in the Saguna Brahma, Purusha decides to create this Jagat and the gunas of Prakriti influence the Purusha, at 1 o'clock the Sattva guna of Prakriti influences the Purusha, and the mind, Saguna Brahma's mind, which we call as the cosmic mind or Bhuma Man, that gets created. So at 1 o'clock, if we view this Srishti Chakra as a clock, from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock, the Sattva guna of Prakriti influences Purusha, and the cosmic mind, one component of the cosmic mind called as Mahat Tattva, emerges, right? And then further, when the Rajoguna of Prakriti influences the Mahat Tattva, the first component of mind, then the Aham Tattva gets created. And when the Tamoguna of Prakriti influences Aham Tattva, then the Chitta gets created. Mahat Tattva is the feeling of I, right? Is the knowledge of I. That is Mahat Tattva. You always, even as human beings, we have this feeling of I, right? I, that feeling you have. That is the Mahat Tattva. Aham Tattva is the one who does things, right? We can call Aham Tattva as the doer I. Chitta is the movie screen of the mind where things are happening, right? So for now you can understand like that. The Saguna Brahma has a mind, and that mind has three components, right? That is the first part of the Srishti. And after the mind, cosmic mind gets created, then the Panchabhutas all get created. The Panchabhutas are the Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Jalam and Prithvi. These five components get created. So that is getting created from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock on the Srishti Chakra. And how is the Panchabhutas getting created? Because of the influence of Tamoguna of Prakriti on Chitta, then we get these Panchabhutas. So that is actually the crudification, right? That is the crudification. So Panchabhutas are getting created. Lastly, in the Panchabhutas, you have this Prithvi. We call it as Kshiti Tattva. So when the Tamoguna of Prakriti influences the Prithvi or Kshiti Tattva, then slowly the Jivas start emerging. From 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock, Jivas emerge. Initially, single-celled organisms emerge. Then slowly, animals and plants, right? And plants and animals. And then finally, at 10 o'clock, human beings emerge. Human beings, so when the Jivas emerge, they also have a unit mind. Each Jiva has a mind. Initially, the organisms don't have a developed mind, but slowly, gradually, the mind starts getting developed. There is a mental development. And finally, at 10 o'clock, when human beings emerge, we have a fully developed mind. right? We have mahat tattva, aham tattva, and chitta, right? So that is how uh, this srishti progresses. So from 6 o'clock, from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, prakriti was slowly getting hold on the purusha, right? Purusha was getting completely bound. From 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock, slowly prakriti is gradually reducing or withdrawing her control of purusha, right? The purusha is slowly getting liberated from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock. So this is a return journey. So when we reach the 10 o'clock, what happens is that human beings have an opportunity of getting liberated completely from the bondage of purusha, right? And that for that purpose this sadhana is essential. This intuitional practice or sadhana or meditation is essential, so that the intuitional practice is intended to gradually withdraw the influence of prakriti, so that we are no longer bound, so that we can reach home from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock, right? So we have seen from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock there is a gradual development of activity of aham tattva and mahat tattva, ultimately culminating in the development of the I feeling, right? So human beings have lived as animals for several lives, right? And they were getting reborn as plants, fish, stones, and ultimately after a lot of struggle, clash and cohesion, right, we get this human body. Getting human body and the mind is not easy, right? We have to go through a lot of struggle, right? Ultimately what happens is that when we get this human body and we have the human mind, then one day our inner eyes, they open, right? That inner, that eshana, that awakens. It feels that enough of this bondage, I don't want this samsara, I want liberation from this samsarat muktihi, I want mukti from this bondage, right? Animals don't understand that they are in bondage. Only human beings understand that they are in bondage and they want to get liberated, right? So that kind of a thing, that kind of feeling is not there in animals, right? So like plants and animals, they have the basic instincts. Like if you look at animals, they have basic instincts. They struggle only for, food, ahara, nidra, bhayam, and maitunam is procreation. That those are the four things they want: ahara, nidra, sleep, food, sleep, protection from harm, and procreation. That is what they need. As long as they get that, they are happy. But when we look at human beings, what is the speciality of human beings? Is that we have this desire for the infinite, we have the desire for that paramatma, right? So when the inner eyes of human beings open and they realize that they are in bondage, then they struggle to get liberated from that bondage. Only when they realize that they have been in bondage this whole time, right, then they start making efforts to get liberated, right? Animals and plants, they don't realize that they are in bondage, right? So human beings, we realize in bondage, we realize we are having this sukham dukkam sukham dukkam sukham dukkam sukham dukkam, and we are not liking it anymore, right? I don't want this sukham and dukkam and sukham and dukkam. I don't want the cycles of sukham and dukkam, right? I want permanent happiness. I want to be happy all the time, right? And in order to be happy all the time, I need to do meditation. I need to go inwards to withdraw from this bondage of prakriti, right? So by the design of purusha, this is how the jivas move gradually from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, and they move further, they get beyond the bondage, and that happens through sadhana, right? It is a spiritual practice. It is manasadhyatmik abhyas. What is sadhana? Sadhana is manasadhyatmik abhyas. It is a psycho spiritual practice, and it gets support of all the different yoga sadhana angas. It is getting support of all the other angas, right? So sadhana is a mental endeavor, right, in which what we are doing in the sadhana is first retract from the chitta to aham tattva, and from aham tattva to mahat tattva, and finally to withdraw into the unit consciousness, into jivatma. So you're withdrawing from chitta into aham tattva, from aham tattva into mahat tattva, and finally into the jivatma, and from the jivatma into the cosmic mind, or into the nirguna purusha. Right, when the jivatma retracts into the cosmic mind, then it is mukti. It is called as mukti. And when the jivatma merges into the nirguna purusha, then it is called as moksha. Right, and this pravachan actually outlines that how the human beings intentionally go through this sadhana, right, this effort to get liberated from the bondage of prakriti. Right, so any questions so far?
No, it is understood nicely.
Okay, so I know Lata Bhagini, this is very, very first class for you. It's very, very new.
Yeah.
I know you're all.
Yes.
I know you're also attending Vamsi Bhagini's class. So just listen slowly. You will get the samskaras. Slowly you'll start understanding. Yeah. So it's not. There are a lot of things that can be said in the first class, but I want to take it slowly. So you just keep listening. You'll get the samskaras. You may not follow everything, but slowly listen. We'll be repeating a lot of things over and over, so you'll slowly start understanding. So don't worry, we can also communicate offline.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that is what this. So maybe we'll just take another, just one last paragraph. Bhagini, Pushpala, Lata Bhagini, do you want to read, and Pushpala with Lata Bhagini will explain? You want to read this paragraph? Can you see my screen? Okay, if you're not comfortable, that's fine. Okay, Pushpala Bhagini, go ahead.
It was said earlier that it is consciousness, purusha, in human beings, which has to carry out sadhana, intuitional practice. Hence the preliminary sadhana, intuitional practice, has to be carried out by the consciousness metamorphosed as chitta, by which this projection of consciousness retracts into aham tattva. This leaves only aham tattva and mahat tattva. So the next entity to carry out sadhana is the consciousness metamorphosed as aham tattva. It is to free himself from the qualifying influence of the principle of prakriti, creating it by its dissolution into mahatattva. Thus only mahatattva, or pure feeling of I, remains. This is a stage of savikalpa samadhi, where only mahatattva, or pure I feeling, indistinguishable from the cosmic I, remains. After this, mahatattva carries out sadhana and dissolves itself in the unit consciousness completely, freeing consciousness of the qualities imposed by the influence of prakriti. It achieves emancipation from the bondage of prakriti, and that is called nirvikalpa samadhi. Thus the sadhana, or intuitional practice, that human beings have to carry out begins with chitta, to be followed by aham tattva, and finally by mahatattva, which emancipates consciousness completely from the qualifying influence of prakriti. So now the consciousness, the purusha in human beings, they only should carry out the sadhana or the intentional practice. So the preliminary sadhana is to be carried out by the chitta, by the unit, by the chitta or the consciousness metamorphosed as chitta, and this projection of consciousness retracts into aham tattva. So now only the aham tattva and the mahatattva. So first by the sadhana, the preliminary sadhana, the chitta retracts itself into aham tattva, which only makes aham tattva and mahatattva to remain. So now the next entity to carry out the sadhana, next it has to free itself from the qualifying influence of the principle of prakriti by creating. The aham tattva now has to do the sadhana to get itself freed from the qualifying influence of the prakriti, and then it has to dissolve into mahatattva. So now only the mahatattva remains, that is the feeling of I remains. This is the stage of savikalpa samadhi. So only in this stage only the mahatattva or the pure I feeling, which is indistinguishable from the cosmic I, remains. That is the it is this going into the saguna purusha, isn't it? In this, after this, mahatattva carries out sadhana and dissolves itself into the unit consciousness completely. So this helps it to the consciousness to be free from the qualities imposed by the influence of prakriti. So it achieves emancipation actually from the bondage of prakriti gradually, and this is called as nirvikalpa or samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi. So the sadhana or the intuitional practice that human beings have to carry out is to be begins out with chitta first, and then by the aham tattva, and then finally by the mahatattva, so which emancipates consciousness completely from the bondage of the prakriti, and this is done only gradually. Or
yeah, Bhagini, nicely said. So this just like by gradual process the creation happens, like that by the gradual process there's a gradual withdrawal from the bondage of prakriti. So in the beginning human beings are living animal life, right? They are like animals, although like animals have no option, right? That is their swabhava, like ahara nidra bhaya maitunam is their swabhava. Human beings, even though we have an option, we live like animals, right? But humans have the capability to do something much greater, right? So when they don't utilize that capability, that swabhava or nature, then they become they become worse than pashu, right? When they have the potential for something greater but they don't use it, then they become the pashu. But for a human being whose inner eyes have opened, then they realize that they don't want this animal life anymore, right? There is a feeling of uncomfortability, there's a discomfort, and they feel like they're not achieving their true potential, right? Something is not going on right. So everybody has a story, and that story is different. So when Paramapurusha sees that this person has a mukti akanksha, then what happens is, then it becomes the Paramapurusha's responsibility, Paramatma's responsibility, to create the opportunity for that human being to come in contact with somebody who can help them, who can guide them, right? And this becomes a very important moment in that person's life when he comes in contact with such a person, right? And that contact is the introduction of yogic life. Yogic life is the human life, right? Everybody has two lives, one is the animal life and the other is the human life, right? So and when a person comes in contact with the yogic life, then he will get rid of all the dogmas in life. He will have he will have a clarity in his life, right? And he will proceed further in his yogic life, and he will continue in this sadhana. He will engage in sadhana, he'll do chesta to do the sadhana, and he will progress further. How does he progress further in sadhana is what is explained in this paragraph. So there are three types of liberation, right? one is the liberation from the physical bondage, which is for the first thing, the liberation from the physical bondage is by engaging in the ahara, sattvic ahara and all of that, right, doing asanas and all of that. The next is the liberation from the mental bondage, right, and then the third is the adhyatmic liberation, right. So so the mental bondage and the spiritual bondage is what we call as bhava jadata, being imprisoned by dogmas, right, being imprisoned by dogmas. Those may be directly capitalistic or materialistic bondages of thinking that are, they're going to be happy by pursuing material things, or the bondage of religion, in which we are misguided, that that is everything is getting misguided, right. And those kind of dogmatic thought process only imprisons you, right. And then the adhyatmic liberation is that through doing sadhana, right. So we have talked about different stages of bhakti also before, right, the tamasic bhakti, rajasic bhakti, satvika bhakti, kevala bhakti, raganuga bhakti, ragatmika bhakti, all that we have talked about. All that bhakti, the first three bhaktis, the tamasika bhakti, rajasika bhakti and satvika bhakti, are not really bhakti, right. So they're just they're completely selfish endeavor, right. They're asking for material things. So tamasiki bhakti means you're asking Paramatma to kill your enemy. That is tamasiki bhakti. It is very, very crude. Have my enemies destroyed, right. They ask, hey Paramapurusha, kill my enemy. That is tamasiki bhakti. Rajasiki bhakti is you're asking Paramatma to give you things, give you property, give you this and that, name, wealth and all that. That is rajasiki bhakti. People pray for house, wealth, all of those things. That is rajasiki bhakti. Get my daughter married, I want a higher, I want promotion, all of that, right. And then satviki bhakti is, a person gets old, he's not able to enjoy the world, therefore he says, oh Paramatma, give me mukti, right. So all these three types of bhakti is not really bhakti. But what is the true bhakti? True bhakti, what is the kevala bhakti is when a person is doing sadhana and he's wanting to please Paramatma, but only to get ananda. He wants to get ananda, therefore he is pleasing Paramatma. That is raganuga bhakti. Ragatmika bhakti is when a person is not wanting anything from Paramatma. He is only wanting to please Paramatma. That is ragatmika bhakti. Okay. So in this paragraph, we are talking about the nirvikalpa samadhi and savikalpa samadhi and all of that. That needs to be a little bit elaborated, which we will see elaboration of that in the following paragraphs. So I'm going to just pause on that for now, and we'll talk about it more in the coming classes, right. For now I would actually like to so conclude here by saying that when a person realizes that he doesn't want this animal life, he wants to relinquish all his dogmas and start doing sadhana, then he does the chesta, right. He does the chesta, and he slowly withdraws his mind. He does the sadhana on the chitta, and then from the chitta he goes inwards. He withdraws the chitta into the aham tattva, and then he does the sadhana on the aham tattva and withdraws the aham tattva into mahat tattva, and then does the sadhana on the mahat tattva, right. And then he withdraws into the jivatma, and from the jivatma he withdraws into the cosmic mind, right. That is the savikalpa samadhi. When he withdraws the jivatma or merge the jivatma into the nirguna purusha, that is the nirvikalpa samadhi. And this is done through meditation. This is actually done through meditation, and the overall aim of that meditation is to withdraw from the influence of prakriti, withdraw from the gunas of prakriti, right. So that is what this whole process is being described. So I want to actually ask if you have any questions on this, otherwise we can conclude the session over here.
No, Bhagini, nicely understood.
Okay, very good. Okay, then we'll conclude the session over here. धन्यवादः, नमस्कारः.
धन्यवादः भगिनि.
धन्यवादः,
नमस्ते.
नमस्कारः.